Welcome to Tuesdays with Tuesday. My name is Tuesday, and I'm here to read to you today a chapter from one of my books, and I'm going to snuggle my dog a little bit. I write fantasy fiction under the name Mary E. Twomey, and today we're going to read one of my books, one chapter from one of my books. This is Taste. We're going to read chapter 4 today, so if you miss the first 3 chapters, it's not going to make much sense to you. And it's only going to get worse as we keep going. Like, nothing's going to make sense unless you read the first few chapters. So, you have your marching orders. So this is Cricket. She's my toy pom and my little cutie pie. And she is going to sit next to me and make her little, snort breaths that are actually very relaxing. Maybe she'll sit in my arms the whole time, but usually she also wants to, sit on the couch next to me. So, we'll see. Grab something to drink. Grab a blanket to snuggle in. And get cozy so that I can read to you, okay? Chapter 4. Ezra's Hugs and Keebler Elves. I wasn't sure what I expected of Ezra. I guess my mind went to an old, lonely, short, squat, unshaven troll who peruses online dating profiles using a picture of his years-old high school face photoshopped with Channing Tatum's body instead of his own. Ezra Manayal was nothing like I anticipated, which I guess was a good thing. In fact, from the time he greeted my mother with a hearty hug and a respectful kiss to the cheek, he did nothing but surprise me. My mouth dropped open when we walked over the threshold and into the residence. To call it a residence was like calling Scarlett O'Hara's house a cute colonial. Ezra had a lavish house to rival Tara, set on at least 30 acres of rolling greens. Ollie and I exchanged looks that spanned every emotion from confusion to hope, to utter dread that Bev would be found out to be the griping hoarder she was. She was good at putting on the normal for a crowd. I only hoped I could do the same. I stood up straighter and brushed my face with a pleasant smile, trying not to run from this place where I clearly didn't belong. Ezra had the air of Father Christmas to him, wrapped in the body of a sandy-haired, well-built, late 40s magazine model for golf clubs and teeth whitener or something. He kissed Bev's cheek respectfully, a glow of adoration in his eye when he greeted his girlfriend. It was sweet, which was a new thing for me to see on Bev. Ezra refused Ollie's hand on principle, instead engulfing him in a hug that made my brother's eyes bug out. "Oliver, I've heard so much about you." His British accent threw me, even though Bev had mentioned it a few times. "Beverly talks about how proud of you she is constantly. I feel as if I know you already." This was news to Ollie, since Bev had never once told him she was proud of his choices, but used his preferences to berate him at every turn. The hug lasted 2 seconds, and I could see Ollie turning purple with confusion and a distinct "get this person off me" plea. "Really? Wow, it's nice to meet you, Mr. Manayal. Or is it Manuel? I really wasn't clear over the phone." "It's whatever you feel like calling me, including your servant, which is what I am for the 3 of you tonight." Ezra was overjoyed to see us. His blonde hair was well groomed, short on top and brushed to the side. He was dressed in country club best. His nails were manicured, and his face was lined in that handsome way that only the wealthy manage to age. Then, just when I thought he had to be too perfect, he shot Ollie an "I'm not really a pretentious tool" conspiratorial look and said, "My friends call me Ezra. If you're looking for a straight answer, and I do hope we become friends." The house had marble half-pillars built into the walls of the foyer we stood in. For some reason, even this small detail made me nervous, reminding me how completely out of my element I was. The polished floors shone like Cinderella had just waxed them herself. The vaulted ceilings seemed to reach up to heaven to thank Ezra for being such a cool guy. I'd been content to lurk in the background while my mind continued to be blown in the fireworks that kept erupting. I mean, the man had an oil painting of a horse in his foyer, for crying out loud. Well, a centaur, I guess. Or a reverse centaur? The creature had a black horse head with a man's body, and he was depicted fighting in a battle against evil goblins who had their claws raised before their inevitable defeat at the reverse centaur's mighty sword. So not only was Ezra loaded, well-mannered, and kind, he liked fantasy fiction, and didn't care who knew it. I couldn't help but take a shine to the guy. For the first time, I agreed with Bev. I was way underdressed and totally out of place. Even Ollie wore gray dress slacks and a lavender button-down shirt to try and look presentable. His auburn hair was short, but properly styled to make him look like he could fit in anywhere. Prayed my simple ponytail said the same thing about me. I shoved my hands in my pockets and hunched my shoulders inward. That was how I went invisible in my mind. It totally worked, too. People's eyes tend to pass right over me when I looked at the ground and kept to myself. Ezra had other plans. "October Grace," he crooned, as if my name was a song. The way he beamed when he said it, I wouldn't much mind at all if it was. I'd never heard a Brit say my name before, but when Ezra did, I appreciated it anew. "You're even lovelier than your pictures. Absolutely beautiful. You take after your mother in only the best of ways." He was too perfect, which made me want to distrust him off the bat. But when he drew me in for a bone-crushing hug, I let go of one card in the deck I'd stacked against him, stiff though I was in his embrace. I didn't so much like the germs, but I gritted my teeth through the slow death most people call affection, so as to appear normal. Thanks, Ezra." "Ezra!" he barked out, a genuine laugh that filled the vaulted ceilings with levity as he released me. "I love it! I can tell we'll be good friends already." He motioned to the reverse centaur oil painting. "I see you're admiring my art collection. Do you know much about tikbalangs?" "Huh? No, I'm more of a werewolf, vampire, zombie, whatever's on my recommended list kind of fantasy fan. Is a tikbalang the reverse centaur guy?" Ezra seemed over the moon delighted that I was taking an interest in his fascinations. "Indeed it is. This is the Battle of the Dark Hills in a magical land called Tearaway. The tikbalangs vanquished the last of the elves and utterly devastated the goblins, though the goblin race managed to survive." He pointed to the smaller, wrinkled creature with his claws raised. "There's a goblin." I nodded, impressed by how into his paintings he was. "What kind of elves? Are we talking Orlando Bloom, Christmas, or Keebler?" Ezra quirked his eyebrow at me and then let out a laugh that told me I said something hilarious that caught him by surprise. "Beverly, you didn't tell me what a quick wit your daughter is. Come in. You must be exhausted from the drive. Keebler elves." He shook his head and chuckled again. I wanted to blanch at the schmoozy words, but he looked so kind when he said them. I didn't notice any hint of agenda poking through his broad smile. It had the air of a weatherman's charm mixed with the sincerity of a priest. Ezra proffered his elbow to Bev, and then offered his other hand to me. I'd not been led anywhere by a gentleman since I was a kid, and even then I'm pretty sure Ollie had only been doing it as a joke. I was anything but a proper lady. I was my guy friend's dude friend, and my girlfriend's non-threatening pal who never stole the spotlight from them. I took Ezra's arm, shrugging at Ollie's wide eyes. Ezra wasn't a figment of Bev's imagination, and he was most certainly a hefty step up from our world. "Let me get you something to drink. Sweet tea, lemonade, Arnold Palmer, something stronger?" He winked at Bev, who actually blushed. I'd never seen Bev properly happy, but this was it. I could tell in the way he lit up when she touched his arm that he was smitten with her just as much as she was taken with him. I began to understand that the charm that had wooed Bev didn't just emanate from Ezra's wallet. I treasured a small smile when I realized that perhaps Bev was growing, wanting what was good for her instead of seeking out train wrecks. If it wasn't so weird, I'd have been more verbal with my joy. As it was, Ollie and I were dumbstruck mutes. Ezra led around the corner to the grandest living room I'd ever been in. He handed us drinks that the maid, an actual maid, brought in for us. I felt sorely out of place, but Ezra didn't seem to mind. In fact, Ezra treated Ollie and me like we were celebrities. Mute celebrities, but celebrities nonetheless. "The Big Apple, eh? You must be very good at your job if you're working in an office there. Beverly tells me that you're a junior broker?" "Yes, sir," Ollie croaked out. "A junior broker after only 3 years at the company? Good for you! I admire a man who knows how to seize the best out of life and still manages to keep his head in the end. As your head is firmly attached, I can see you're doing a brilliant job." I watched Ollie's eyes widen, and confusion give way to a perplexed nod and a humble "Thank you, sir." It broke my heart how unused to praise Ollie was. I tried to stuff kindness and adoration in the crevices of his personality whenever he wasn't looking, but for the most part he managed to fend off compliments with a flip of a hand and suspicion that kindness usually came with motive. Ollie shifted on the oversized white leather couch next to me, radiating equal amounts of discomfort and surprised pleasure at the verbose accolades. After another 10 entire minutes of singing Ollie's praises, Ezra turned his attention to me. I wanted to fake that I had to run to the bathroom just to escape the sincerity in Ezra's eyes and the thoughtfulness in his words, but thought panic might not bode well in this early getting-to-know-you stage of things. It was a thing of luck that the maid came back into the living room, her wrinkled hands and face putting her age at right around 70 or so. She wore a simple black dress with the sleeves rolled up, and a white apron that didn't dare have a stain on it. "Dinner served, Ezra." "Thank you, Lena. Lena, this is Oliver James and October Grace, Bev's charming children." Though she looked like a servant, I noted that Ezra introduced her as if we were meeting a new friend, which endeared me to him even more. Lena inclined her head to us, but her gaze fell on me, taking in more detail than I felt comfortable doling out to strangers. I straightened my shirt and lowered my chin as I stood, introverting afresh. That's the end of chapter 4. You did it! You sat down and relaxed and rested for one whole chapter, one whole video. I'm so proud of you. It's hard to not multitask. It's hard to let yourself sit and let yourself just be. Thank you for letting me love on you a little bit and read to you, despite the fact that I make tons of bajillions of mistakes. This book is actually available on audio, so if you would like to hear a professional read it to you, there is a narrator producer who is just fabulous who reads this, and you will love it. If you want to skip ahead and want to not read it as an ebook or paperback, there's also the audiobook. Thank you for spending time with me today, and I can't wait to see you next week. I'll have a new video for you every Tuesday until we finish this book together.